All right, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Welcome. You are watching another episode of the Finance Rebel Show. This is our Wednesday segment, the Wealthy Wednesday segment. And today we're going to talk about something. Question is, how can you raise kids that actually know about money, that value money, that know what to do with money, that get a real education about money? I get that question a lot. And so, by popular demand, I wanted to bring on Rachael Hanible, who has the book Amber Savings Box. But we're going to talk to her today about her journey of writing the book and also her journey about being a certified financial educator. Hey, Rachel, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm unstoppable. How are you?
Oh, I like that. I might steal that.
You know,
I might
Give me
steal
my
that.
credit. Everybody wants to steal it.
I don't know. I'll borrow it, right?
Oh,
I'll borrow it. All right.
at me.
So listen, you are probably the most requested guest I've had
Oh,
in a long time. Everybody from the listening audiences, I was like, you got to have Rachel on. You got to have Rachel on. I wrote your book a while back, but we could never seem to connect. But here we are. We're here. I finally got you in. I know you're busy though, because I'm just the first stop at a tour tonight. You got another show to do at 8 o'clock or 8:30, somewhere
8:30.
around there. So I appreciate you taking the time out with us. So we won't keep you all night. Hopefully this won't be the last time either.
No, it can't be.
All righty. Well, everybody, before we get into everything, do me a favor, share this out. Anybody that's looking to educate their children about money, share this out with somebody. Remember, the Finance Rebel Show is all about increasing the financial IQs of folks in our community. So today, we got a superstar in the house, y'all. So Rachel's here. Now, first question I have for you. I was doing a little cyber stalking of you. Don't be paranoid. It's all good. You saved 1 year's income. I get people that tell me that's crazy. That's impossible. How did you do that?
Well, like literally $5 at a time. The same way I was able to pay off over $92,000 worth of debt. It was, I
So wait a minute. Let me get it straight. You paid off $92,000 worth of debt and you saved a year's worth of income. Is that
yeah,
correct?
yes. Now
I'm
it
getting
took
it right.
time. Yes, it took me some years to do it, but yeah.
And you ain't do nothing illegal. So no illicit drugs.
No.
Okay. All right.
No lump sum of money dropped out of the sky.
No lottery.
No lottery.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, at the time when I started on my debt free journey, I was only making $8.75 an hour,
Wow.
my day job, and I started on the debt free journey before I decided to see how much I could save, before I saved the year's worth, but uh I had what I think is every kind of job, everything but fast food. I've probably done everything but fast food. But I selling Avon. I would work at retail stores during the holiday season. I would do bookkeeping for people who had different businesses. I was teaching Excel classes for our older citizens who needed to, do a little bit better with their bookkeeping. I was just
Okay.
saying, like, making a list of ways, how can I make money? What gifts and talents, or what information do I have that I could use to bring in some extra income? And then how can I cut down the amount of money that's going out the window? What's coming in the door and going out the window, right? Um, and I just created a plan. And some months I was able to save an extra $100. Other months I was able to do more than that. But just being consistent, that's how I was able to do it.
So being a little newsy, did you save that money in like a savings account or brokerage account under your mattress in a
Well,
shoebox?
it wasn't all in one place, but a little bit of all the above. Well, no, not the mattress.
Not the mattress. Okay.
Not the mattress. Um, but it makes me nervous having all my money in one place anyway. I feel like I don't know, that makes me nervous. So I had, 20,000 over here, 10,000 over here, 5,000 over there, another 20,000 tucked somewhere else. So my money was making money for me. So I did have, investment accounts and things like that. But I did have what I call poverty PTSD, so I was hoarding the cash. So in the beginning, it was like a lot in the savings account because I was afraid to invest. Um,
See, I
but
don't have a problem with that.
okay,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that because I'm selfishly talking about this. Just full transparency. I always tell people you should strive. The goal should be to have at least 1 year's worth of savings and savings, right? And the emergency fund. Well, I call it the opportunity fund because you never know what's going to happen.
yeah,
You never know if COVID's going to happen. And I was talking about this long before COVID. I can't tell you how many people say, "Kamar, you're crazy. You're crazy." But my all of the stuff that I talk about on this show is a culmination of my education along with my experiences working 20 plus years in financial services and tax. So I see when people go broke. I see why they go broke. And so sometimes people think, well, that's not really flashy. That's not sexy. Savings isn't sexy, but savings will really save your life if you do it right. So I'm okay with hoarding a little bit. And then as you get your education up and your comfortability up, then you can stretch out. But I don't think we should all necessarily take our money and be uncomfortable with a thing just for the sake of doing it, if that makes sense.
yeah. Why you
Yeah.
sound like a robot? What you do with your microphone? Special effects.
I sound like a robot? No, I didn't do anything. How do I sound, everybody? Do I sound
It's
crazy?
perfect. Whatever you just did was perfect.
Okay. All right. All right.
But I heard you. We heard you.
Okay.
But yeah, no,
So,
I agree. I agree. I say, I named my company Missing Peace, PEACE, because my goal is to not have peace be such a far away goal. I mean, I feel like
right.
you always have that, oh, when I retire, I'll be at peace, or when my kids graduate college or whatever. There's always like this thing that's so far away, it seems so far away. And so my goal is to like help you find nuggets of peace on the road to financial freedom, like whatever that may look like. And that means having some savings. That you sleep a little bit better at night. You have peace when you have some money saved. Like peace is sexy.
That might be a t-shirt.
Freedom is sexy. Peace is sexy. All the options, having options, money buys you options. All that stuff is very sexy.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But sometimes you got to do all the unsexy stuff to get sexy. And that's what I always talk about. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Now, you wrote a book, right?
Hey.
You're getting you're a best-selling author, right? So you're a best-selling author. I see you're a real estate investor as well. Like you said, debt-free, paid off $92,000. What made you write a children's book?
So there are so many studies that say that our relationship with money is formed by the age of 7. And this month makes 7 years that I've been a personal finance coach for adults. And a lot of my finance coach sessions turns into like therapy, because a lot of my clients realize that they're struggling with things. They're struggling with their relationship with money because of things that they experienced when they were younger, things that their grandmother would say, things that their mom would say, it was things that would go on with them financially certain times of the year or around birthdays or around holidays. And so I needed to dig into that a little bit more. And then once I saw that study, it scared me. Like, this is, I even thought about myself, the things I may have heard about money, or the experiences I had surrounded around money in my younger years. And I originally went to look for a book that was already written. I did not have a plan on writing a book. I just figured I would find a book that was written for kids and I would just suggest it to my clients who have children. And after going to 3 or 4 bookstores and looking through the directory, and they didn't have any books teaching kids about money in the parking lot of the bookstore, I started writing Amber's Magical Savings Box, mostly out of anger and frustration that there wasn't anything there at the time. And so, here we are years later, and it's a bestseller. It's in Walmart, it's in Target, Barnes and
I saw
Noble.
that. I saw that. That was dope. I was like, oh, she's doing the thing. I love it. I love it. Well, So you got it in Target, you got it in Walmart. It's best selling. Has that changed your career, your trajectory, your career at all?
It has given me countless opportunities to be able to reach young people and create a full curriculum. So far, my classes, I call them millionaires in training classes, has been in over 75 schools and universities and organizations, just across the board. And starting with the age of 3, going up to college age kids. So I've been able to just be a one man show out here, but
I love
giving
it.
giving the kids the information that they need that they're normally not learning in school. So it kind of just opened the door, the opportunity for me to find I actually have a gift of making it fun, making it relatable, but making it so that they will understand and they will have this information that they need to move forward.
Mm. What's your biggest question you get in these classes you're putting on
From the kids or from the parents?
from the kids?
um so all the kids are different. It's so fun, but they ask me about people who have a lot of money. So the classes start with me asking who wants to be a millionaire, and there's always one or two, maybe three kids who won't raise their hand, who won't, they say no, they don't want a lot of money. And the number one response I always get when I ask them why is that they say money, people who have a lot of money are bad people.
Mm.
And we
Wonder where they
know,
learned that from.
huh?
I wonder where they learned that from.
How about that? And it normally goes into a discussion where I tell them that I've been on a mission to make sure that I help some good people get some good money so that they won't have that fear anymore. But that I can, in the meantime, be an example of a good person who has some good money that you don't have to, money doesn't turn you bad. Having good money doesn't turn you bad. So that's probably one of the topics that comes up the most in my classes. They just kind of wonder, like, why is that a thing where a lot of people who have money are just not good people?
Mm.
That's probably the number one question they ask.
Gotcha, 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 gotcha. Now I'm getting some messages. People are saying, I'm waiting for you on IG. I let everybody on IG know we'll be on YouTube and Facebook today. But do me a favor, y'all. If y'all could just spread the word, let everybody know that we're live now. And this is a great conversation. I know it's only going to get better. So just let them know the Financial Road Show is here live. We're on a little bit earlier today. Normally we do 8, but I wanted to accommodate Rachel because we've been trying to hook up for the last at least 6 months. I want to say year though.
I was gonna say a year.
Yeah, I want to say year,
Close to a year, yeah, at least.
but I don't want to trash you. I don't want to trash you. Listen, her schedule's busy, y'all. She's busy. But we were actually supposed to meet yesterday, and I messed that up. And she was gracious enough to make time for us today. So I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that.
No
Uh,
problem.
So the kids think money's evil. Do
Yeah.
you ever do group sessions with the kids and the parents?
Yes. Especially with the single digit classes, like some of my classes start for the age of 3. So yeah,
Mm.
oftentimes the parents are there. And the parents are always surprised at the questions that their kids ask. And they're
Mm.
normally in the back and the kids are facing me so they can't really see it. Like, is that my son? Did my son ask that? I'm like, yeah. So that's always fun because you think they're not paying attention,
Right.
right? I had to change my question that even I asked adults. I used to ask, what were you taught about money at a young age? And people all instantly be like, no, nothing. I'm like, now I have to say, what did you learn? Because
Mhm.
even if someone didn't stand in front of you and specifically say, this is this and that, you were still getting information from somewhere. You were still forming your opinion about money. You were still feeling the vibes. You were still overhearing conversations that your parents and grandparents were having.
Right.
Um, and so the parents are always shocked at how much the kids already know.
I
uh,
mean, children are sponges, right? They pick up everything, verbal, nonverbal, and people. I'm always amazed at how much people underestimate children.
I say it all the time.
They're actually the geniuses, and we actually ruin them. But
Say it all the time.
I don't know how we miss it so often.
Yeah. When people, even when my journey first started, I would go into different schools and stuff like that, and I would say, and I was doing it for free in the beginning, just for whole years, just doing it for free. And they were saying the kids are too young to learn about that. I'm like, no, they're not.
They're actually learning.
They are not. I'm like, we are underestimating how intelligent. I say the same thing you just said all the time.
Mhm.
And my classes constantly prove me to be right with that. I had a 5-year-old ask me about taxes, and
Really?
yeah,
Ah, now that's funny.
um, although she didn't actually say the word correctly, the concept of what she was trying to, we all understood that that's what she was asking.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, who cares about the actual word? The concept is what it is.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was just like a pause, like, did she just ask you that?
What?
But
It's
yeah.
funny. People ask me this question all the time. How can I teach my kids about money? And my response is, and maybe it's a bad response, and you correct me. I said, you learn about money and y'all do it together.
Yeah.
Whether it be about investing, whether it be about budgeting, whether it be about college planning, retirement planning, so forth and so on. All of this stuff, I think, will create one, a better parent child relationship because you're doing something together. You're creating memories together. And then, two, you're also showing your child that you're willing to continue to learn. And so I think one of the best assets that we have outside of our time, but outside of our time is actually being willing to learn, be willing to change, be flexible. So I don't know how I don't know if parents really get how important it is to model good behavior to our youth.
Yeah, because our kids are going to do what we do, not what we say, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah. I say they ask me, parents ask me, how young should we start? And I say, as soon as they start asking for money, you should start talking to them about money. They said, three, you have classes for 3-year-olds? That's too young. I'm like, come sit in the classes with the 3-year-olds and you'll see that it's not too young. To at least have them understand the concept that money doesn't grow on trees. That's a great way to start. Let's start
right,
there. Mom and dad goes to a job and they earn money, and it goes on a little plastic card that you see, like it's not magic. So
right.
let's start there, and then we grow from there.
Now, how did you get going with this? Did you go to school for education? Were you a teacher before? How did you get going?
No, no, I've been doing accounting for 14 years now.
What? Say word. Oh, we are really kindred spirits. We need to talk more.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did go to get my certification to teach personal finance. So I did do that, but that was kind of later on after I was like, I realized it was a gift that I never, took a teaching class or anything like that. I was like, the for me it was like I knew where I was when I didn't learn anything about money, and I knew what words I didn't know. And there were even other curriculums and other books that they try to push on certain kids, but it's like these books are for people who already started early with their kids, right? These books are for communities who start early, so but our babies, unfortunately, in certain communities, don't even know some of these words, don't even know
Right,
what terms mean. So for me, it was just, teaching the younger me. Like I knew what I didn't know at 12, at 13, at 17. I knew what I didn't know. So it was just easy for me to say, like, hey, what is a fun way that I can explain this? And so even with our kids, and we have investing parties, we have pizza parties. And I explain
mhm,
investing as shares of pizza, and we sit and eat our pizza, but even virtually, we all get our pizza on our screens, and we talk about, here's your share, this is your slice of the company, and are you going to hold it, or are you going to fold it, are you going to, and so I later went on to get, certified, but no, it was just me just being myself, and they loved it.
mm. Okay. Now, do any of the kids actually eat the pizza before you get
We
throughout
always
all
eat
the
the
investment?
we
Before you
always
get to it?
well, yes. Especially
Cracking that.
now that it's virtual.
Right.
Um, I'll send a little email to the parents like a week before our class and say, hey, like, make sure they have pizza ready. So they say, sometimes it's teasing the kids to make them wait until the class is all the way over to eat the
Mhm.
pizza because it's cold. So sometimes the kids have already had a slice before we before we get on the live, but that's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, I can only imagine a 3 or 5-year-old shoot a 10-year-old sitting in class with pizza and not being able to eat it. So,
We eat
I, yeah, I think somebody's gonna be eating the pizza.
it. We eat it. But you know what? Even as our company grows, we add toppings to our pizza, right? Our company starts off with a base company. We just started, so our slices are cheaper, our portions are cheaper. But as our company grows and we, expand and we get more investors, we put some toppings on it. So it's really a whole like adventure through the class. But we're definitely eating during the class.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I love that. I love that because that shows growth and progression. And it's very relatable and they can actually get it, right? So the plain pizza's $1. The pepperoni pizza might be $2. The pepperoni pizza with mushrooms might be $3. And I'm guessing you probably go through cost and things like that as
Mhm.
well.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. That's another one. I might just steal that one or borrow that one from you as well. I don't get out to the kiddies as much as I used to. But that was one of the things I used to really love to do is speak with the children, do classes along with adults. But I always find that children were more bold, more courageous. And to me, that made it more fun. And so I was always able to feed off their energy. So kudos to you. I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
You come along the journey for me. There's so many more kids that
Oh
need
yeah,
to reach. So
absolutely. So I want to ask you a question. I get asked a lot.
okay.
Um, People ask me, do I think public schools should teach financial education or financial literacy to the children? What do you think about that?
Hands down, yes. 100%. 1000%.
Can you guess what I said?
I already know you had to say yes. Who's saying no? You
Me.
said no?
I said no.
Why? Oh, because you kind of feel like they're going to teach it their way.
Yes. So I feel they're going and for the record, because I got some pushback, right? And I'm like, when you look at overall conventional education, it's not for freeing of the mind. It's not for real growth, right? And so I'm afraid that they're going to make our children even more uber consumeristic, even more uber materialistic. Because even when I go to some of these financial literacy classes and I see them, it's all about consumerism. How do I get a new car? How do I get a new house? Don't get me wrong, all of those things are important. But what about actually building wealth? What about actually building a business? What about building a legacy? And I understand baby steps, right? But as you could probably see, y'all talking about investments with 3 and 5-year-olds. So why limit them to just the consumer side of the house? And so, I that's just my thoughts on it. That's my
So
thoughts.
what would be your alternative? What would you prefer?
More me, you, and people like Jimmy and Corey over at By the Hood,
Mhm.
and us collaborating together and doing our thing because I feel like financial literacy was a term that was really dominated by the credit card industry. And again, I'm the finance rebel, right? So I'm always kind of contrarian. I put that out there. I'll be totally honest. But the credit card industry kind of dominated and actually coined the term financial literacy. And so what do? They create these programs that teach people to be bigger consumers, to then use their credit cards. And we see what happens with that. And you even look at when you look online, right? Everybody's voting, get your credit up, not learn about accounting, not learn about finance, not learn about risk and insurance or any of that because it's not sexy. It's about learning how to get credit. And how many people are in severe debt
Mm,
because everybody can't manage credit. I don't care how financially astute you are. Some people just can't manage it because there's a whole emotional side of things that nobody really talks about.
right.
So that's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm concerned about.
I would like to submit something for your consideration.
I'm all ears.
I think, or maybe I should say, I feel like you contradicted your previous statement when you said we underestimate how intelligent our children are. I
Okay.
mean, they are receiving information now that tells them they should just go and be a good employee. However, how many of our babies are going against that and starting their own businesses as young as they can, whether it be selling t-shirts, whether it be using whatever skills that they can, whatever it is, they're going against what they are trained to do, or what they learn in school. And I think that they would know when to, what my mama calls, chew the meat and spit out the bones.
Yep.
Um, so giving it to them, I think that we should have the best of both worlds. Only reason why I say that is because there are going to be people that you and I can't reach,
No, I agree. I agree.
and I would rather them have 30% of the information than the alternative of them having nothing.
So you know what I'm going to say, right? Because I
Mhm.
actually did. I know you said I contradicted myself, but I actually self-corrected when I said our babies are geniuses, and then us, the parents, and the school system ruined them.
Uh, yeah,
But I mean, I think your point's valid, right? And something's better than nothing. But if you're asking me the question, I'm looking for the most optimal solution.
yeah,
Is there a difference between theory and application? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so as long as we have the McDonald's of the world, we're always going to be fighting consumerism, right? Because our babies get trained that they want those golden arches or golden arcs by the time they're probably 3 or 4.
yeah.
And that goes the same with a lot of other heavily branded, heavily ad driven companies out there. So I get it, but I wanted to see what you thought. I wanted to see what you thought.
Yeah, I think it's like a you don't know what you don't know type of thing, right? And it's
Mhm.
like some of them, like I said, they don't even know some of these terms. Like they've never I sit in class with teenagers and I say certain what I think is basic personal finance terms, and they're like, "What is that?" I've literally never heard that word before, and I believe them because that was me. With
Right,
certain
right,
things that somebody said something to me at 17, I'm like, "What?" So I feel like at least if we can get somebody in there that they will at least know some of these terms mean, that would make it easier. It's something I felt bad about having to do this, but a lot of my classes for high school kids, a lot of them didn't know the difference between a debit card and a credit card.
mm,
And after that happened over and over and over again, now it's a staple in all of my classes, because now I feel like I don't want to. Before then, I was assuming that they knew the difference, and I kind of felt bad that I was assuming that. But um, now it's like a staple question, and again, most parents will probably be shocked that their kids don't know their teenager doesn't know the difference, right? Because to many of us, we feel like it's obvious they don't know.
I mean, but a lot of us don't talk to our children about money at all,
Yeah,
especially in our community, because it's kind of taboo. It's kind of
yeah,
taboo.
yeah.
Yeah. But I would love to ask you, what was your upbringing, right? Were your parents uber rich? Were you a silver spoon baby? How did you get this affinity for accounting and teaching education or financial education?
I wish. Oh my goodness. I grew up in North Philadelphia, and for some people who know Philadelphia, that's kind of like all I have to say. um,
And even those who don't know Philadelphia, that's all you gotta say.
you could use context clues, but
Yeah.
the I always say, looking back, the hope was low and the crime was high. Uh,
Mm,
the most of the jokes in school, elementary, middle, and high was who was the poorest, who was poorer than who, and
who got food stamps?
who got food stamps.
Who got bobos?
who has hand-me-downs, who keeps wearing the same things over and over again. Like, I was one of the kids that was actually happy when we switched over to uniforms because I thought I would get teased less because of my clothes.
Mm.
Um, Now I can look like everybody else, like, maybe I'll get teased less. And you just see a lot of hopelessness. And a lot of it is stemming from, we were broke, like we were poor. We were poor, if you stay quiet too long in school, you're gonna hear them stomachs growl, and it's difficult to learn when you haven't eaten anything. And who knows when the last time you really had a real, a balanced meal. I went to Strawberry Mansion High School. And if
Oh,
you Google that, it will come up on 60 Minutes, Diane Sawyer as being one of the most dangerous high schools in America. America. And I went there. I graduated from there. So for me, I'll say the turning point for me was uh, they were coming to cut our water off on high school graduation day, and
mm,
that just clicked. That's just a day I'm just never going to forget. I remember everything about it, and remember thinking to myself, I got to make sure that I'm in a position where I'll have enough money where no one can take something from me, something as essential as my water, because I don't have enough money, and that just kind of started me on the journey of just learning for myself, just teaching myself what is a budget, how do you save, how much is needed to save, how much do we need for that water bill anyway, like, and then I first year in college, my teacher made us get a subscription to the Wall Street Journal for a particular assignment, and I was the only one in college that kept up my subscription after that particular assignment was over. And it was, for me, it was like, I'm reading this about these terms about money and about wealth and about all these things I had never really heard before. And to me, they were my friends. They were my homies, in this paper that was just put me on game, that I felt like they were my mentors that was telling me things that, no one had never told me before. Now, granted, I had to look up a couple of words. I was like, I've never heard this.
nothing wrong with that.
Mean? What does this mean? But it was, it started me on my journey of just being self-taught, of just, understanding balance and checkbook, those types of things, credit. Why in the world is credit important? I just posted my live scores last week.
I
Uh,
saw that. Congratulations.
Thank you. So
Almost had the perfect score.
yeah,
Mm,
I've
that's
been
dope.
years over the 800. I've been in the 800 club for 8 years now. So, um, but yeah, even though that's how it started.
Nice, nice. It's funny you brought up the story about graduation. It is funny how those things growing up kind of still haunt you now. I have a text group of buddies that I grew up with because I have a story very similar to yours. Um, my water and gas have gotten cut off at my home, and my friends in my text group, we always kind of bust on each other. And one time, one of my friends was, "Yeah, Kamari, you're so poor that when you was growing up, all your water and gas was cut off. Everybody knew." And I think he thought I was going to be embarrassed by it. I wasn't, but I always thought like, wow, I guess people really were paying attention to that. And so I had to go back and really think about like, geez, things
Mhm.
are really rough. Things are really rough. And then I had a conversation with my dad about it because my mother and father had split. And he was like, he didn't realize that so many things were happening. And he was like, he didn't understand why I thought I was poor growing up. And I was like, well, here's a story where I'm 40 plus now, and my friends are still making jokes about this 30 plus years later. And it's like a lot of that stuff still haunts you, So that's a great story you told. It's a great
Yeah,
story.
like we didn't know. I recently had a conversation with my mom, and I was like, "Were we poor?" She was like, "We were poor."
Yeah,
At the time when it was happening, we didn't know. Like, my mom did an incredible job of just, like, she made my clothes. So I was like, well, I felt special because my mom is making my clothes. No one else in here is getting handmade clothes by their mom. Like, I'm thinking, like, this is the thing. I'm better than y'all. It was
right,
the opposite. It was because it was cheaper that way.
right, right.
um, so we just had so much love. Like, my mom just did an incredible job of just not, like, just finding a way to put it together, and we still look good, we still felt good, we still ate good. So we didn't really know until later on, like looking back, like, hey, wow, it was we didn't have no money.
But it seems like, if you got to handle money, but it seems like your mom was crafty and knew how to make a dollar stretch. Because you said y'all making your own clothes. I mean, was it always like that, or was there any major drastic turns to that?
Yeah, for it was always like that for us.
Mm,
Yeah, it was
okay.
always like that. And again, for her, it was just like, why would you want to wear someone else's name when you can wear your own name? And so even for my brothers, like she would make them jeans with their names on it or something like that. Like, but it was still a thought that instilled in us, like, yeah, you're right. Like, why do I want to pay this company to be advertisement for them? Like, I don't even know these people, like, and so it worked. She found a way for it to work. We would have church in the living room, and I didn't know that was because we didn't have gas to get to church. So
uh,
we have an in-home church. Like, okay, cool. But that's
that's
because
creative. That's
yeah,
creative.
my mom was incredible with that.
Okay. Okay. Now, going forward, right, uh, in college, what was your major?
I I studied business law.
Okay.
I
Why you
studied
why
business.
why you stutter like that? Like it's
The
something
reason
wrong?
why I laughed is because my third grade teacher has a VHS of him going around and saying, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, either a lawyer or a accountant.
Okay.
And for me I was like, I'm gonna stick to that. I'm good with numbers. That's probably the only thing I'm good at. So I would just stick with these numbers. So yeah, I went to school for business law.
Now, where did you go?
I started at community college,
Shout out
and
to CCP.
shout out to CCP.
I am a product of CCP. I feel like many of us that went there don't give CCP enough credit.
Yes. I
Mm,
mean, I do it when I do have the opportunity, but I agree.
mm.
Because people talk trash about me when I started at CCP.
Yep.
Um, and I
That's
see it
great.
everywhere. Now I ended up transferring to Pierce College for business, but I loved my time at CCP. My time at CCP changed my life.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I love CCP. For a lot of people, especially my mentees, I suggest they start there.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, if folks don't have a whole lot of direction, right, coming out of high school, I would definitely say community college is the better route to go. And I went to school a little later because I was a teenage parent, so I couldn't go right in. I had to work, and I didn't kind of figure out what I wanted to do until I was a little bit older.
Mm,
But me being older was a real gem being in college because everybody else was trying to sit in the back of the class and be cool. I was at the front of the class with my hand raised because I'm like, I got to pay for this. I
mm,
still got student loans for it. So I took every advantage I possibly could while I was there. But a lot of that was because I was older. A lot of that
mm.
was because I was older.
I'm glad I got rid of my student loans. That was the best. I mean, it was I had to sacrifice, but I feel like it was one
Congratulations.
of the best decisions. Thank you. I feel like that was one of the best decisions I ever made. I know when I was on my debt-free journey, I had people that I really admired and like looked up to. It was like, girl, enjoy your 20s. Everybody gonna have debt. Everybody gonna die with debt. Everybody gonna die with student loan debt. Like, go have fun. And I was like, no, I want to see if there's another way. I want to, and I'm so glad that I didn't listen to those people, because it was worth it. And it's like nobody really remembers who was cool in your 20s. Like when you nobody really remembers who and if or who was wearing what. Like you might know who was cool, depending on how they made you feel, because that's what you really remember. And you remember how that person made you feel, but
Mm,
you're not remembering the details of the shoes and the sneakers and this and that. Nobody remembers that. But
you'd be surprised.
I don't think I want to be with the people. I don't think I want those kinds of friends.
Now that's the valid point. But I gotta ask you, like, what do you think the benefit after paid off all your student loans now? What do you think the benefit of it is? Plus, after paying off all your debt, what do you feel the benefit is?
I can enjoy most of my money. I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I watched the budgets of a lot of people, and it's like, again, what I was mentioning earlier, like the money comes in the front door and goes right out the window, just all to debt, to car notes, to this. I haven't had a car note in over 10 years. And I just bought a new car this year, all cash. And it's like car notes, student
Pop
loans,
your
this.
collar.
Say it again.
Pop your collar. I love it.
I
I
don't have
love it.
but
But I'm
yeah,
sorry,
like
go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
you get to enjoy your actual, like, what you're working for. Like, you're not, I get to invest more. I mean, that money I was paying on a car note, I invested every month now. The money I was paying on my student loan debt, I save every month now. So I still kind of put it away, but I'm able to do things that for my future self. And instead of paying for my 25-year-old self, I want to pay for my 45-year-old self. I want to pay for my 55-year-old self. So
Mm,
that's been like the major, that compound interest and
mm,
the peace, right? That comes with having, different options, because I'm not bogged down to this car note or this student loan debt.
mm. Okay. And I'm assuming you would advise everyone to pay off their debt as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely if you have a car loan, for sure. Death to car notes.
So here's the question I get all the time.
Oh man.
Should you pay off all your debt before beginning to invest?
No. No. You got two hands, you can do two things, baby. You can do two things at one time.
I say the same thing all the time. Like, it makes sense to pay off your debt, but you could always take $25 that you might have spent going to the movies or to get $5 coffee and put it into a savings account and or investment account.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but people say, it's only $5, only $10, and I always share my journey, that is how I became debt free. I started paying an extra $5 on my student loan every month because I wasn't making a lot of money when I started. I started paying an extra $20 on my car note at the time, and every month, and then I got a little bit more. I did a little bit more, but if I didn't start with the $5 or $10 or $20, I would not have became debt free when I did. So a lot of people often look at even the savings. We talk about, the year's worth of income. That was $5 at a time. That was one coupon at a time. That was one this at a time. And so one packed lunch at a time. So those small things over time, if you're consistent with it, it definitely adds up, especially if you're talking about saving and investing. So yeah, don't say it's just $5 or $10. Don't think that way. It is a seed that is getting you either one step closer to your peace or your goal or your dream, or taking you one step away. And so that's how you really should look at it.
Yeah, I had an old head years ago say if you can't save anything, save $5 every paycheck. And he said you'd be surprised how much $5 will accumulate to.
Hmm.
And he said, your savings will save your life. He literally told me that, and it's so true. And I tell people about my penny jar. I said, well, if you can't save $5 or whatever, just take the change out of your pocket. And then I would show folks my penny jar where I would not only just do pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters, but I would put dollars and $5 in there. And then I talk about how when I went back to school, I was flat broke. Me and my son, we had no food or nothing, but I got my jar and I had about $5,000 in there between the pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, Susan B. Anthony's, the dollar bills, the $20 bills. And we was able to eat for a minute. We was able to eat for a minute. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Like you said, every little piece is a seed. And you really got to look at it like that. I love how you say that.
Yeah, I posted earlier on my Facebook that three important things in life: time, health, and comfort. And that, contrary to what many people may say, there are some situations where money can buy all three. And
Mhm.
so that is like the definition of, if you save your money will save you.
Yep,
So yeah.
yep, yep. So I don't want to take up all your time. I know you got a crunch. So I want to see if there's any questions from the audience. So if anybody has any questions from the audience, post them now and we'll get to them. and I will speak to the people because we got a couple people in the room.
Hey, everybody.
Jose's here. What's up,
Hey,
Jose?
Jose.
Walter asked the question. How you doing, Walter? Says, do you ever ask what is evil about it or anything?
Oh, yeah, I do. We definitely have that discussion. To them, they feel like it turns people, like people are good, and then they get this greed, with money, or they get money, and then it turns them bad. So that's kind of overall the idea that we normally address in the classes. But that was a really good question.
What do you say to that? Because I have a theory, but what's your theory on that?
I believe that money only maximizes who you already are.
Yep.
And that I would ask them individually, "Are you a good person?" And they would, I've never had a kid tell me no. So, yeah, like you would be a good person, and I would often give them a list of things that good people do with good money. The charities, the this, the that, and with hopes to steer them in a different direction. That there's another side, and good people on that side. And if you're a good person, you'll be on that side.
Gotcha. 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 Love it.
Yep.
All right, JT Coins in the building.
Hey,
How are you, sir?
Steve. Hey, hey.
The Vet Jones. How are you? Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Hey. I know we're not on Instagram, but y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram.
All
It's
right. Well, we'll
Talks
definitely throw it
underscore.
up.
Pep Talks underscore.
We'll throw it up before we get out of here. Angela Johnson. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for tagging those folks in.
Hey, Angela.
KD is in the building.
Hey, D.
KD was looking for us over on IG.
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
baby.
It's my fault. It's my
We are
fault.
here. We're here.
It's really hard to do the show um with IG because I get a massive echo.
Yeah.
And your sound has to be really good for it to work. We both have to wear headphones, and so it can be a bit of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Pain in the butt. So now, before we go, what are three things you would have every parent do with their money, with their children, to teach them about money?
Well, buy Amber's Magical Savings Box. Buy Amber's Magical Savings Box. That's number one. It is for kids ages 3 to 10. It's an interactive children's book. So there are affirmations there. There are exercises and questions that they have to answer in the back of the book. Uh, so it's not just a read and bedtime story, just go to bed. There's some work there. But you can get that everywhere books are sold. I also would say, look for those what I call millionaire moments. Look for those millionaire moments throughout the day. We probably ignore like 1,000 of them because money like runs 90% of our lives. So look for those teachable moments where you can explain to them, why did you pick up the cheaper jar of whatever than the other one. um, Explain price comparison to them, explain what that is, and why did you do that, why is that important. It help them, if they're older, help them sit down with you with the bills, say, give them options like, hey, I'm in the middle of this dilemma, should I get this, or should I do this, or should I do that. Bring them in to the conversation, bring them into it'll help them, make them feel like they're making a decision, they're helping you make a decision, right? So they know that they can take control, they can take charge of their money, that they have a say so, they don't just have to do whatever anyone else tells them to do. And I would say the third thing would be to get them a finance coach or sign them up for a class. Number one thing I hear people say is, I teach my kid about money at home, and then they come to my class and they be like, "Huh? I don't know this. I don't know what you're talking about." Because just like all of us, right? Our parents have told us things and we weren't listening. But then if somebody else said it, it's like, "Hey, that's breaking news." So our babies are just like us. So,
Mhm.
you need that positive, you need that reinforcement, you need another voice in their ear, telling them in a different way. So those are the three things I would say that you should do.
No, that's wonderful. I do a lot of those things. I definitely tell my children how much money we spend because oftentimes I take the role of being the electricity Nazi. So it's like, turn those lights off, close that door. It's like you never wanted to become your parents, but here we are. No, but I never thought about getting a financial coach. I never thought about that. I think that's a good one.
Need it. Always needed. Always needed. I mean, you think about it, that we have like what 100 other things pulling them in the opposite direction, right?
Right.
So having someone else on your side pull them this way, not gonna hurt at all.
No,
Um,
that, I mean, I think that's a great gem. I think that's a great gem.
mm.
So one last counter before we get out of here. So I don't want to mess your name up. The Regulo. I play Monopoly a lot with my kids, but my kids have not taken to real life projects. Lemonade stand,
Limit.
washing cars, odd jobs. How can I motivate them to do real life money projects? Do it with them.
You can, so it depends on their, that's a great question. So it depends on their age, which projects is age appropriate. But you can motivate them by telling them that they, when they ask for something, say like, hey, if you can earn half of the money, I'll match you dollar for dollar. Um, you want this particular thing for Christmas. I know we have holidays coming up. Maybe you can help them to save up the money to buy their gifts for their loved ones, that instead of you just going and paying for it. Maybe something they want to buy their grandmom something, or their parents something, or how can you earn the money? And then, if you earn half, I'll match you dollar for dollar. Or maybe it's their own Christmas gifts, whatever it may be. You have to motivate them by giving them something that they need or they want, not need, give them their needs, but something that they really want. And they'll definitely be motivated. And then once they do it once or twice, you won't have to motivate them anymore. Once they realize that they can do something about it. Because contrary to what a lot of parents believe, the kids really don't want to wait for the parents to buy them everything. If they could get it sooner on their own, they would do it.
Right.
So if you say to your son, like, hey, if I get it myself, you won't get it for another 6 months. But if you help me get it, we could probably get it next month. So help me help you. You got to be part of your own rescue. So
I know.
that's a great way that you can motivate them.
And I love it that you're thinking that way, that you're thinking about ways to motivate them, because oftentimes I see parents and they say, I don't want them to grow up with the same struggles I had. I want them to have it better than me. Oftentimes they're not even realizing that some of those struggles are the struggles that made them strong in the first place. And then we kind of weaken our children because we give them everything. So you got to be careful about that. Remember, we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. And the more we want them to be as independent as possible when they get out here to the real world, because if not, they're not going to be able to make good life decisions without you. And sadly, we all got a time clock and expiration date. So they got to be prepared just in case if we're not here. We're not here. So,
And I always say, when you give them with something that you didn't have, you take away something that you did have.
mm, good one. Good one. Okay, so Hayden's on. Hayden's a young teenager. Hayden says, I already invest, but I want to get my younger brother started too. How would you recommend I get him investing?
So I don't know how young your younger brother is, but um you can get him to invest in smaller things that may be for him, right? So maybe he uh he wants to start his own business. Maybe it's something that he loves to do, but there are things that he needs in order to be able to, in order to be able to do it. Maybe he needs a new equipment or things like that. That may be a way that you can motivate him to invest. Or you can just make a fake. If he's young, oh, he's 10. Oh man, get him what's those accounts called? Why am I drawing a blank? Um, not get him a stockpile.
Yeah,
I,
the
I like
stockpile allows you to give him a gift card.
Yeah, get him a stockpile. Stockpile app is really good
Yep.
for kids that age. And then they can do the fraction. Well, you can do the fractional shares on, but stockpile was and then he can get people to gift him money for different stocks and shares and stuff. Stockpile app is probably the best for him.
There's a buddy of mine who watches this show from time to time. Shout out to Elena. Helena will buy her children stock through her Cash App account.
Mm.
So they'll do it together. And so he likes the stock. I think he's either 10 or 11. I think the stock was like $18. And I was just so inspired about what he did, what they're doing. I just said, here's $20. Go buy a share for your birthday. And so Hayden, that's something else you can do. Is
Mm-hmm.
get your mom and your dad, maybe get them to start a like Rachel said, a stockpile or a cash app. Make sure your parents are involved, right? We don't want no problems. And then you can give them a share or a fractional share of a stock. So,
Good.
yep. But I'm glad you're thinking that way. I'm glad you're thinking that way. But don't bully him into doing it either, though. So just showing what you're doing. And since you're the big brother, he'll probably follow along anyway.
Yeah, he has time. If he doesn't get it until 2 more years, he's still ahead of the game.
Right, right,
He has
right.
time.
So I know you gotta go because you're a busy lady. But again, before you go, everybody, I want y'all to go check out Amber's Magical Box. They can find it where's the best place to find it?
Amber's Magical Savings Box is in Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble, and Amazon. It's an Amazon bestseller, but most people just go straight to Amazon just because it's easier to click and just Prime or whatever. But yeah, you can get it everywhere books are sold.
But listen, y'all, it's October 20th. This is airing October 20th. Guess what's around the corner? Black Friday, holiday season. This should be a gift for all the kids, for all the babies. So make sure y'all go out and get it. And it's not that much money, y'all. So go out and get 1 copy, 2 copy, 5 copy, 10 copies. It will be an investment well worth it. Okay. So I will see. Oh, before we go, one last thing. What is your IG again?
Um,
Where can people find you?
it's Pep Talks _
Pep Talks _
Yep, Pep
Okay.
Talks, all one word _
Okay. Pep Talks _ on Instagram, right?
Yes.
All right. And so I got to give Don Johnson a shout out.
God.
Yes. Before we go, because Don was one of the ones that I said was always asking me to get you on. And so I'm glad Don's here. Don is always in the audience. I appreciate Don. And I appreciate you for continuing to pester me and say, get her on, get her on, get her on. I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's conversation.
Oh, Don, thank you so much.
Yep. All right, Rachel. Well, I appreciate you. Would love to have you back. Have a great holiday season. Let me know how I can be helpful in any way. And enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for having me. Finally. And I'm coming back before the year is out because now you owe me another one.
Oh, you another one. All right. We'll do. We
All
can
right. See y'all.
see y'all. All right, y'all. So before I get out of here, I got a couple things I want to talk about. Not today, but I'll be back later on this week, right? We got some IRS updates to talk about. So maybe I'll come back tomorrow. Not sure yet, but just stay tuned. Make sure you put your notifications on. And want to talk about Coinbase, what's going on with Coinbase. And I got a question or a request to talk about the new Bitcoin ETF. And in that same question, they said they didn't understand what ETFs are. I'm like, I talk about ETFs all the time. But with that said, I'll be back between now and the weekend's out to talk about all these things. All right. So again, turn your notifications on. If you haven't done so, go on over to my YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it, and share it. Do the same thing on Facebook too. All right. So again, I appreciate y'all. Always super humble. Make sure that you stay in tune with what your purpose is so you can stay on your life's track. All right. Remember, they trying to keep us savage. They trying to keep us locked up. They trying to keep us in bondage and servitude. A lot of that is debt. So as Rachel talked about today, let's work on getting debt free. Let's work on not being consumers. Let's work on being Uber investors. Let's work on being business minded. And in order to do all that, you got to do what? You got to rebel because that's not the norm. The norm is to be in debt. The norm is to be in bondage. The norm is to be hopeless. So y'all stay hopeful. Y'all keep working, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a great night, everybody.